Welcome to the Mathematics Professional Development Series, sponsored by the Making Math Matter grant, with partnerships from the Blue Springs School District, Hickman Mill School District, Center School District, and Wellington Napoleon School District. With me today is Virginia Hogan from Delta Woods Middle School. Welcome, Virginia.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We were in Virginia's classroom, and we watched an amazing sixth grade lesson. Well, instead of me talking about it, Virginia, would you like to explain what is the content and topic of today's lesson?
The goal of today's lesson was for kids to be able to add integers together.
Okay. What was their pre-knowledge or pre-teaching that you had to do, and what's their background right now?
Well, prior to sixth grade, they had never used negative numbers. They had only been introduced to positive numbers. So the first thing we had to do was understand what's the difference between a positive and a negative.
Okay. What was the focus today? What did you want to get down to?
The end result was for them to discover how to add integers together.
Okay, almost like to come up with a rule.
Right. So we started off with a concrete example of how to add integers, and we used those integer chips. And the goal or hope was that after lots of practice, they would discover the rules themselves.
Okay. Talk to me about the integer chips. I noticed yellow ones and red ones. Do the kids know what these mean? How do they work?
Right. So each integer chips has two sides, a red side and a yellow side. And what the kids discovered prior to today was that the red side represented a negative number and the yellow side represented a positive number.
You know, Virginia and I have worked in the past 10 years in the Blue Springs School District. Virginia, going back a decade ago, how has math teaching changed, the way you taught then to the way you're teaching now?
I feel like 10 years ago, before I had all the professional development that I've had now, is very much, this is just how you do it. This is step one, this is step two, where now it's much more of the kids doing the learning and them doing the discovery and then coming up with how to do it. Of course, with me guiding them along the way, and for them to have strategies to figure out how to solve the problem if they get stuck.
You know, I'm looking at your classroom, and I didn't see rows of students with you at the front of the room. I saw groups, I saw technology. Explain the structure of your classroom.
Well, anytime we do anything hands-on, I always want the kids to have the opportunity to be able to do whatever model we are doing. But I also want them to be able to collaborate with their peers, to be able to discuss what they have had, because sometimes the wrong answer leads to the right answer. We learn more from our mistakes than we do someone just telling us. So I think it's really important for them to be able to work individually with their model, but then to have discussions with their peers.
With those discussions, I noticed you using technology. What exactly were you using, and how do you use it on a daily basis?
Well, today we use the document camera a lot. With them making their own models, I was able to incorporate lots of students into the classroom and being able to show what their thinking was, as opposed to just having a couple kids go up to the board or a couple kids talking about what they had done.
You know, we've been lucky enough to have Virginia as a 6th and 7th grade teacher. Virginia, can you talk to me a little bit about where they were in 5th grade, but then today's lesson in 6th, and maybe where they're going in 7th?
We have awesome teachers in our district that have helped these kids develop great number sense, and being able to have lots of strategies using the concrete models. But really in middle school, we're starting to take them more to the abstract thinking, and 6th grade is that big jump. Being able to start with the concrete, but then being able to move to abstract, and then by 7th grade, seeing them make those huge gains is really fun to watch.
What was the big takeaway today, not only on the kids' part, but on your part? Is there something that you absolutely loved? Is there something that you would have changed? Where are you at on today's lesson as you move forward?
I love that the kids are able to come up with the rules for adding integers on their own. Using those concrete models helps them to develop it, but it's fun when they realize, man, I don't have to use an integer chip every time I'm going to add an integer. I could just do it this way.
That's perfect. Virginia, final thoughts. Again, I thought it was an amazing lesson today, as our viewers will as well. Any final thoughts on moving forward?
Today's lesson will help gear us for tomorrow's lesson of subtracting integers. So I'm really excited to see the kids jump into subtracting integers and discovering those rules.
Let's take a look at what we saw today.
What exactly is an integer? What does a positive or a negative whole number mean? What is a whole number? Yeah.
Your counting number.
Yeah, our counting numbers, right? So today when we are adding and subtracting, or just adding today, when we're adding integers, we're going to be adding both positive and negative whole numbers or positive and negative numbers that we count with. So no decimals or fractions today. So we're going to start back in kindergarten today, and you're going to use a model. Okay, we have these little chips on our desk. I want you to model what 3 plus 2 would look like with your integer chips. And if you want to talk to your neighbors about what you're doing, or if you like their idea, or if you don't like their idea, you are welcome to do that.
3 plus 2 equals 5.
Look at this example. How are they different? Say it louder.
Hers doesn't have a plus.
So which one do we like? Remember, you're back in kindergarten. Can you use your fingers and count with me? 1, 2, 3. Now count the reds. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is the answer 10? No. 3 plus 2 is 10, right? No, it's right here. 3 plus 2 is 10, right? Okay. What about this one? What's 3 plus 2?
5.
Is this one easier?
Yeah.
So when we start modeling with integers today, with positive and negative numbers, I want you to model in the way that is most helpful to us, okay? Adding a plus sign can be very fun and cute, but is it necessarily helpful?
No.
Let's start with -1 plus 1. I borrowed $1 from Caleb. What type of integer is that? Is that a positive or a negative? Talk with your partners.
I have to pay it back. So if I'm paying them back money, it's not just a gift. If I'm borrowing it, I'm in the hole, right? Because when I get money back, I have to do what to it? Give it back. So is it a positive or a negative? A negative.
What'd you guys decide? Everyone, what'd you decide?
So you have $1 extra. So that's 1.
So I'm getting $1, but I'm borrowing it. So is it really mine?
No.
Okay, because he gave me $1 to buy something. I could just say, maybe it would be easier to say, I went to the tailgater and Caleb bought my $1 hot dog, right? So is it really my $1? Whose $1 is it really?
Caleb's.
Caleb's. So is it really my money?
No.
So what do I need to do with it?
Give it back.
At some point in time, I need to give it back to him, right? So I borrow $1 from Caleb, right? What type of number is it? Everyone feel comfortable? That's a negative? Okay?
Yeah, but wouldn't it be positive for you because you just got $1, but negative for him because he just gave you $1?
If he didn't physically give me the $1, he just paid for something for me. So I don't have the $1 in my pocket. So if I change the story to say, Caleb bought me a hot dog at the tailgater and it cost $1. So is that positive or negative for me?
That's a positive.
That's a positive. Work with your partners, come up with a model.
You owe somebody $1. You make $1, so then you have to give him back that $1.
Very good. So what is your total? 0. Very good.
Okay, when I was walking around the room, I saw most of you had something that looked like this. Why did you guys choose to use 2 different colored chips?
Because one is positive and one is negative.
One is positive and one is negative. Very good. Okay, which color did we all use for negative?
Red.
Why'd you choose red?
In like banking and accounting, they use red for negative numbers and they use black for positive numbers, but we don't have black.
We don't have black. I love it.
Anytime you have a negative and a positive together, what can you say?
The same number, but one's negative and one's positive, then you always get 0.
All the time? So you think anytime I add opposites, what am I going to get?
0.
Every single time?
Yes.
4 plus negative 4, what do we get?
0.
Is this 4 plus a negative 4? Yes or no?
Yes.
Does she have 4 positives? Yes. Does she have 4 negatives?
Yes.
What model do you like better? I want you to talk about it in your groups. Hannah just brought up something that is a little confusing. She said, I thought when there was parentheses around a number, it meant that it was either absolute value or I needed to do that first. Kind of confusing, isn't it? We had 2 examples, okay? We had one where all the positive 4s were together, and then all the negative 4s were together. And then we had one where the positives were on top and the negatives were on bottom. Which one do you guys like?
I like when there's 4 on top and 4 on bottom.
I like it because you can see like how each of them could be like -1 and like each one like cancels out the other negative, and so it's like 0
Ooh,
plus 0
I
plus
like
0
yours.
plus 0.
Ooh, I like this. Look at this. Look at this. Do you see what she did? What was she doing?
She had
Yeah, she found her 0 pairs, didn't she? Okay, so she really is thinking about it as 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. Okay, do you like the integer chips?
Yes.
Do they make it easy?
Yes.
When I give you an assignment over this, do I need to send integer chips home with you?
No. We could just cut out.
Can you do it without integer chips?
Yes.
Okay, I have a little sheet of paper that I want you to do, and I want you to kind of reflect on what we have done today. Okay, so the question says, write a general rule for adding integers. Okay, what's my general rule? If 2 integers have the same sign, then I also want you to write the general rule if your 2 integers have different signs. Okay, and then the last question is, the sum of 2 integers. Are they positive? Are they negative? Or are they 0? And how can you tell? Which one's making you think? What do you think? Which one's causing you trouble? Oh, you still just writing? How are you going to tell if your answer is going to be positive, negative, or if your answer will be 0?
well, if the negative number has a greater absolute value, it will be negative, but if it's the other way around, it'll be positive.
Right? And how do you know if the answer is going to be 0?
If they're the same. If they're not the same, the opposite.
There you go. You just got to write that down. You said it perfect. Great job. How do I know my answer is going to be positive? How do I know if my answer is going to be 0? How do we add when 2 integers have the same sign? When I add opposites, I get, every time I add an opposite, I get, if I add opposites, I get 0. Very good.
Let's look at the learning that the kids were doing today.
Today in class, we learned about integers and we modeled different problems with the chips.
We added and subtracted integers, and we learned how to use counters and model them with the counters that are red and yellow. Like the red, it means it's a negative, and the other side is yellow, which means it's a positive.
Negative numbers are just like positive numbers. They just are on the other side of 0.
Honestly, I think the chips take a lot longer time, and after I learned the basics of it, I think I can do it. Harder problems without them, or even easier problems without them.
I like Miss Hogan's class because she doesn't just tell us directions and then gives us a worksheet to work on it. She explains she explains the problem and how to do it. She helps us model the problem, visualize it, and think about what's going to happen.
Virginia, I can't thank you enough for allowing us the Making Math Matter grant to be at Delta Woods Middle School in the Blue Springs School District today. This professional development math series was sponsored by the Making Math Matter grant. Thank you.